What's up, folks? Today I'm going to be reviewing the game Dune. This game came out in 1984 from Parker Brothers and it is for 2 to 4 players. Now, Dune is based off of the movie, not the book. There is a Avalon Hill game called Dune. That's typically a Grail game. It goes for about $200. This is not that game, but it is based off the movie. Anyway, the object of this game is very simple. You are trying to basically eliminate all of your competition and be the last team standing. However, it is not that simple. There are tons and tons of options in this game as to what you want to do. Do you want to try to collect spice, which is a monetary unit? Do you want to try to steal things? Do you want to try to attack people? Lots of different options in this game, so let's go ahead and show you how it works. Okay, everybody, let's go over all the components really quick, and we got quite a lot here. The first thing you have here is your game board, and there's basically two sections here. There's an outer circle and there's an inner circle. You'll be able to enter the inner circle by what are called the seat spaces, and every team has one. You'll just enter through this little gate over here. You have two different sets of dice. You've got 6-sided dice, and then you have a set of 8-sided dice, and these are mainly going to be used for battling and movement. You also have your character discs over here, and you're going to be using these to move. And each of the character discs represents the cards that are here on the board. Now, here's how the cards work. This is a strength meter of this character, and this is going to go up and down depending on what spaces you land on and during battle. If this gets knocked down to 0, this character is going to be out of the game, and they're going to each have a starting strength. In this case, the Emperor's is 3. He also has what is called a guile number. Now, this is going to be helpful during certain situations of the game when this is going to help protect him. And I'll talk about all that here in just a little bit. Right here you have your Dune cards, and there's two different types of cards in here. There's what are called equipment cards, like this, and then there are what are called, I think, Canley Cards, like this. Equipment cards you're going to be using to equip the different characters with different weapons that are going to help you in battle. And the Canley cards are basically cards that are going to help you in general. And the way you get these cards is you're going to be buying these cards with spice, which I'm going to talk about here in just right now. And here is the spice. Now, these are what are basically the monetary units of the game. You're going to start off with 6 of these, and you're also going to start off with what are called harvesters, which are these little things. These harvesters basically will make spice for you, and there are certain spaces that you can land on that, depending on how many harvesters you have, you will get that many spices in return. So there's 4 different phases in this game, and the only one you really have to do is phase 1. The rest are completely optional. The first one is movement. And the way movement works is you're just simply going to take 2 of the dice over here and you're going to roll them. And you're going to start on what is called your seat space. Now, you cannot get attacked on this space. You're basically safe here. And anytime you land on your own seat space, your strength is going to go back up to the number that you started with. So if Gurney over here was at 4 and he landed on a seat space, he would get back up to 5 to recover. But anyway, the way movement works is you're going to take 2 dice and you're going to roll them, and you've got a few options. You can either move one of the characters 3 like so on one of the dice. You can move him 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would not recommend doing that, but you could move him 5 if you wanted to. You can move one character the full amount of 8, or you can split the dice between 2 characters and move 1, 5 and 1, 3. And all of these spaces have certain commands on them that you're going to follow, and I'll talk about all those in just a little bit. Now, the next phase is what is called fighting. And the way fighting works is you're going to do a duel. Let's say I rolled a 3 or something like that, and I landed here on the Emperor's space. Now, I do not have to challenge him to a fight if I do not want to, but the Emperor, in turn, could actually ambush me and challenge me to a fight if I was weaker. And the way fighting works is you're just simply going to look at the character's strength. In this case, Gurney is at 5 and the Emperor is at 3. This simply represents the amount of dice that they are going to roll, and this is a basic duel. There's other ways you can do it. But anyway, let's just say Gurney rolls his 5 dice. He's going to look for the highest number, and in this case it's 6. So let's say the Emperor rolls, and the Emperor goes ahead and he rolls, his highest number is a 5. So the Emperor has lost that round. So what's going to happen is the Emperor is going to go ahead and knock his strength down to 2, and this is going to keep happening until one of the characters dies. As soon as one of the characters die, that person's strength is going to go up 1. So in this case, this guy's would go up to 6. And if he has any equipment cards under him, which I'll talk about in a minute, that character will receive those equipment cards. Now, you can also attack with 2 characters. Let's just happen to say I had a character over here. Basically, what's going to happen is that I'm going to combine the strengths of the 2 characters. And so, for example, let's say I had these 2 guys. I would combine the strength. One has 3, and this guy has 4. So this would give me a maximum of 6 dice to roll. I would not be able to beat the 6 dice. And then I would just simply pick one guy to fight with, and if I were able to win the battle, both of the characters that were involved would have their strength moved up by 1, and then, of course, the character cards, they would just do whatever they wanted to with them. Here are the equipment cards. Now, the way you can get these cards is you can buy them using the spice. This is the buy section, which is phase 3. So let's just say, and each of these cards costs 1 spice, and you can get a maximum of 3. So you have what is called a shield. This will protect your character from laser guns. The laser gun will allow you to shoot somebody 1 or 2 spaces ahead of you, and you'll just do a die roll to see if you'll hit them or not. You have what is called the Gom Jabbar, which will basically allow you to roll an extra 8-sided die while you're fighting, and that will definitely help you when you're fighting, for sure. You have a sword, which will allow you to change all of your 6-sided dice into 8-sided dice, which will definitely be a big help. You have here a poison card, which is rather unique. If you end up hitting your opponent once, you'll be able to play this or use this, and this is basically how it works. You would have to beat your opponent's guile in order to use the poison first. If I was able to beat the Emperor's guile of 4, let's say I rolled a 5 or something like that, then I'll go ahead and roll the die again to see how much damage that he would take. And if it turned out that I beat his strength, in that case, he would die. An interesting thing is that if you are getting attacked by poison or a few other things, you can actually buy more guile by trading in 3 spices per guile. Here's a still suit. This will help increase your guile by 1 point if you're getting attacked by a worm or a sandstorm, and those are spaces on the board which I'll talk about here. And then you have the Ornithopter. I'll just let you read this card. It's rather complex. But anyway, the way you would equip your guys is, let's just say I put in 3 spice and I bought 3 of these cards over here. I would just simply put them underneath the character like so, that I wanted to have the equipment. Now, I can put as much equipment under each character as I want, so long as I don't have a duplicate. For example, I can't have 2 shields or 2 Gom Jabbers, for example. If I do happen to have any duplicates that I can't use on anybody, what I'll simply do is I place it over here. So if it turns out somebody steals some of my equipment, like someone steals a sword, for example, and I happen to have another sword, I can go ahead and replace it with that sword if I want. Now, you also have what are called your Canley Cards, and I'll just go over these really quick. These are basically going to help you here. This will help you get some spice over here. This will also help you get some spice. This will help you steal some from your opponent. This is a Hunter Seeker card. This is another one of those cards that will help you fight somebody. And then you have a Secret Silo, and this will also give you some spice. Now we're going to go on to all of the spaces here, and there are quite a few. So I'm going to just go ahead and show you this gameplay guide here, and these basically talk about the different spaces. The desert spaces here, the siege I had talked about already. The spice space will allow you to take a spice from the spice bank. The duel space, if you land on that, you'll actually be able to move somebody to that space to fight the character. However, you won't be able to fight them in their siege space, as I had said. The worm will allow you to attack somebody, and this, I'll just let you read this over here because it's quite detailed. And then, of course, you have the sandstorm, and I'll again let you read that because once again it's rather rather detailed. But for both of those, you can actually buy more guile to help you, I believe. Okay, and then we go to the inner circle over here, and we'll talk about those spaces. You have the Space Guild, which will allow you to move anywhere. You have the Smuggler, which will basically allow you to take spice from the bank equal to the number rolled. You have the Trader space over here. I'll just let you read that entire thing. We got this one as well. This will allow you to take a Canley card or equipment card from anybody. The poison card here, I basically had talked about that. You've got the spice raid, and then you have training over here. So there's quite a lot of spaces that you have to think about. Now, another thing you can do is you can invest. Now, investing, you'll note that there are these spaces over here. You can put spice in these spaces, and if an opponent rolls one of these numbers before it gets back to you, you're going to get back some more spice. So, for example, if an opponent rolled a 4 and a 10, let's just say you put 2 spice on there, the odds are 3 to 1, so you're going to get 3 spice back for every one that you put in there, so that would be 6 spices that you would receive. For this one, this is 4 to 1, same deal. If you put 3 spices in here, you would receive 4 times the amount of spice that you put in for that, so you get 12 back. So it will go all the way back around until it gets to you, and if any of these did not pay out or whatever, for whatever reason, you would just take the spice and dump it out. Now, you can also sell stuff back to the bank to try to get more spice. I believe it's 2 to 1, so if you sold 2 cards, you get 1 spice. If you sold 2 of the harvesters, you get 1 back, or you could do a card and a harvester and get a spice back that way. Now, you can also protect your harvesters. Remember the sandstorm and the worm? Those are very, very pesky things. Well, if they're trying to go after your harvesters, you can pay 1 spice per harvester to protect them so that the sandstorm and the worm won't be able to affect them, but it will only be for that turn that it will last. That is basically how the game works. You've got all these weapons, you've got all these Canley cards, you've got all these different spaces that you can move to, and you've got all sorts of different things that you can do through this game. And basically, you're just going to play this game, and the winner of the game is going to be the one that is the team that is left standing after everybody else has been killed off. So, my final thoughts on the game Dune. Well, as of this moment, my wife and I have not yet finished the game. But the one thing I really like about this game is that there are so many options of things that you can do. It is a roll and move game, but it's not typical simply because you have a lot of options as to what you want to do with the dice. Do you want to move 1 person? Do you want to move 2 people? How many of the dice do you want to use to move the 1 person? By that, you have a lot of spaces that you can choose from to land on, and as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I love the fact that there are so many different types of options because that really adds up to the strategy. And then you add up the equipment cards, you add up the Canley cards, you add up the fact that, okay, do you need to try to get more spice? Do you want to steal spice? Do you want to battle somebody? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? There's so much going on in this game at once. Now, having said that, I heard that this game does go rather fast sometimes because the object is to kill people. So basically, really, the only thing you have to do is just try to fight your opponents. However, as you can see, it may not be that easy because your opponent can try to play different cards on you. He can basically pay to raise his guile. Lots of different stuff that he can do. I love the laser gun idea. That's pretty cool that you can just shoot somebody from 2 spaces away. But I really like this game. I like mainly the number of different options that you have, and just all the different things that you can do in this game is pretty cool to me. Now, I found this game at a thrift store, much to my shock. I was shocked when I saw this, and it was in tremendously good condition. The only thing is some of the cards have writing on them, and I guess the owners were kind of confused with the rules or whatever. But, you know, you can get cards for fairly cheap. But the game itself, I've seen sell for about $60 or $70 in good condition, and I've seen people trying to sell this game for over $100. So this was a heck of a find. Would I recommend this game? I would definitely recommend this game. This game, to me, is enjoyable. I don't know how many times I would actually play it, but the fact that there are so many different types of options on here really added the strategy, and I would imagine that the game can turn by just all the attacks and all the different things that can happen. So if you like games that are strategic but not very complicated, but at the same time have a lot of different things that you can do with a pretty cool theme, then I would definitely recommend trying to get this game if you're a fan of the movie. Now, I have not seen the movie. I heard the movie was horrible, and I don't plan on watching it, but it's a very enjoyable game nonetheless. You don't need to really watch the movie in order to enjoy it. So anyway, guys, that's my review of Dune. I hope you all have a great day. Keep on gaming.